2022 GTR Racing World Championship with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flicks, Motorvision.tv, Stengol, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to GTR24H here at Sebring, where there's really only one rule: respect the bumps. Looking forward to diving into this practice session myself, Kieran McGinley. I'm glad to say I'm joined along for the next couple of hours with the legend himself, Mr. Chris Buxton. Chris, how are you tonight?
Oh, it's been such a long time. It feels like such a long time since not only did I get to share the box with the shining light that is Lord McGinley, but here at Sebring as well. It's been a while since we've been to the American airfield. But yeah, respect the bumps is absolutely right as we look at the number 64 car Henri Cynic, just to show what it is like bouncing around. Can we get an onboard view of that? Of his... Wow, I mean, he's giving it plenty of sideways as well. I mean, we've only just begun the broadcast, and he's giving it plenty of beans. Now, bear in mind, this is a practice session, so this will not go towards qualifying or anything like that. This is just, just to give everybody a kind of an idea of what to expect, tune the setups and what have you. And just look how that DPI is bouncing around. It is determined to try and kill him. And that's what they've got for 12 hours this weekend. So absolutely fabulous.
You've not sold that well, have you? He's trying to kill him. It's not great, not great. If you're not familiar with these practice sessions, you may see multiple versions of the same car. That is completely normal, and it's also completely legal. It allows the drivers to pretty much jump in and test the car out without having to wait around, without having to wait for their turn. They can just jump into their car and get going. Once we get to qualifying tomorrow, that stops. So too does the pull to the side and press escape. That stops tomorrow as well. So you're free to do everything in your power. If you make a mistake, press escape, you come back to the pit lane, no problem whatsoever. But that stops tomorrow, as you then have to get back to the pit lane under your own power, and there are penalties if you do not do so. And, well, looking at the standings at the moment, it's interesting, doesn't it, Chris? I mean, especially along the DPI as well.
Yeah, now, unfortunately, we weren't able to bring the broadcast for last time out at Monza, but yeah, it depends which category you're looking at. DPI is kind of a little bit burst esports centric, I think it's fair to say. But you've got a lovely battle forming between the Morales E-Stars and the Unison Racing number 17. So that's really going to be one to look for in the DPIs. LMP, really, really close. Two battles already forming in that class for the top spot and also for the third place positions particularly. So Burst Esports Gooder and the Sim 9 Axle teams, the 94 and 21 cars in the LMP2s, just 2 points apart, 47 to 45. And then you've got a really close three-way fight between the Satellite Racing number 164, the Team Iris 77, and the Deuces Motorsport Club number 15. Just 5 points between them. Yes, we've still got plenty of races to go in the season, but already we're seeing some really, really close battling going on. GTE is a bit heavy for the Deuces at the moment. 74 car leading the way by 10 points over the Mugen Sim Racing team number 67. And then the MPE, which is the Risto Pescara AGG car, the 54, is a little bit on its own there on 30, but then you've got three teams tied on 20 points. The 2017, the MCM Motorsport car, then the 45 DIS Sim Racing Lab, and the 717 Unison Racing team, all on 20 points. Very close there in the midfield of the GTEs, and then the GT3s really close again. So the Mugen Sim Racing number 82 with a 5-point lead at the moment, and then a three-way fight for second, all joined on 32 points. The number 13 CKR, the Brazilian flavoured car, winning last time out of Monza. Then 32, which is the B32 Racing Squad, on 32 points, so they're really living up to their namesake. And the 585, that's the Valantia Racing by Aztec Team Sports Car, all on 32 points. And only 3 points behind them is the 777, the DSR Gadget House and .DK car. So, wow, that's a wonderful preface for this very, very tricky track here at Sebring.
Indeed, and it's a track that can bite back, especially going through Sunset Bend. Oh, it's very, very bumpy through there, isn't it, Chris? You've got to make sure that you have the mix of bravery, but also, I guess you have to be sensible through there as well, which for these drivers, you know, they want to go full attack, but as we've mentioned at the top of the hour, at the top of the stream, you have to respect the bumps. And if you don't, they will bite back.
That's the thing with Sebring, isn't it? Is that you've got several areas where you will lose a lot of time if you don't get an exit right. Yeah, particularly on that final straight and on the starting straight, of course. But it's so tempting just to take the crucial corners that little bit too quickly. And you could take what you feel is the same line lap after lap after lap after lap, but it just takes that one momentary lapse of concentration and bang, it will bite you. Even though you're convinced you turned in at the same point and you braked at exactly the same stage as you always do, it just, the bumps are unrelenting. It is really, it's going to be great to see who can keep the car pointing in the right direction. We've already seen cars pointed the wrong way, and there we go, watching Michi Hoyer in the number 18 Burst Esports Simplexity car almost rubbing the wall on the exit of that final turn. Good to see Michi back as well. That's an error BMW. I thought it had a clunk.
Yeah, I thought that was Roland Schultz there, who just got out of shape then, but then luckily just escaped back to the pit lane. That's the great thing. Oh no, it wasn't Roland Schultz. Oh yes, it was. There it was. That's the drop.
Well spotted.
Oh, thank you very much. If that's the only thing, Chris, that's the only thing I do right tonight. Let it be that.
No, you always make the stream glowing, Kieran, no matter what you do.
You see, Chris, I've peaked right there. That's it. I found Roland Schultz. That's it. That's where it stops. There's Michael Slot for Telefoningen in the number 188 BMW. And, I mean, this is a track, Chris, that I've actually never been to. I've never been here in, and obviously reality. It's quite a distance across the pond, but also I've never been here in sim format. Never. So this is my debut around this legendary circuit.
I've never driven Sebring. I've commentated here numerous times for generally GT machinery. So, you know, we're not likely to see as many spins from the GTEs and GT3s just because they tend to ride the bumps a little bit more comfortably than the LMP2s and the DPIs will. However, I've seen many an unusual incident happen, particularly on that penultimate turn and on, of course, that final one that we see the Burst Esports Goodar car going through right now, just bouncing away. You just get the feeling the car wants to let go. And there's another challenge, actually, as we see the Burst car come back into the pit. That's another thing. The pit lane entry peels off from that racing line. So if you're giving it plenty of beans, you wanted to try and improve your position, and the guy in front of you wants to then come into the pits, you've really got to be ready to make a very sudden adjustment, which is the last thing you really want to do on a very bumpy piece of circuitry. So it's going to be very, very testing for the drivers. This is it's a popular track for all intents and purposes. It does give some really, really great racing, but it's very, very challenging, and the weather is not going to be entirely in the drivers' favours this time.
No, we are predicting. Well, we're predicting quite the weather front, I think it's fair to say. We are predicting quite a bit of rain throughout this weekend, on and off, as we see Liam Runts there trying to get through. But here's what the weather is right now, and this is what's happening near Sebring and in the United States right now. It's replicated out on track, and as you can see, those little bits of pink there are storms, and a little bit of pink and then goes into red, the red being the worst parts of the storm. They're pretty much not at the circuit at the moment, but there is going to be that threat. I mean, this harks. I'm getting really bad deja vu, Chris, of when you and I were in the practice session at Monza and we said, oh, it's going to rain, there will be rain on the way, it will rain, and then throughout qualifying it was completely bone dry. It was only until the latter stages of the race the rain came, but when the rain came, it was a washout.
Yeah, we were absolutely left on tenterhooks, weren't we? We really built that up of, this is really going to mix up the field, this is going to be a very big test for the drivers, and that's at a circuit like Monza that is generally, for the most part, particularly flat and fairly predictable on how the cars will behave turn after turn after turn after lap after lap after lap. They're not going to have that kind of comfortable familiarity with Sebring. All the drivers have to be really, really alert all the time, the whole time through their stint, which is very much easier said than done in the dry, let alone when you've got unpredictable weather. And from what we can understand, that weather forecast is very inconsistent. It's not just when the rain arrives, it's going to hang around for several hours. Nope. It's going to be start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. So that's really going to put to the test the driver's abilities, the team's abilities to adapt their strategies and just see how well they do. Some people are going to just kind of blindly ignore the rain. Sometimes the rain may not actually fall heavy enough to upset them at that particular moment, or it might absolutely chuck it down for a while, make the slicks absolutely useless, but only last maybe 20 minutes or something. So it's really going to put additional pressure on the drivers.
It will. That adds a whole new challenge to it, doesn't it? Trying to make sure you have the right driver in the car at the right times, but with the unpredictable weather fronts we're having, could be a little bit interesting further down the line. At the top of the standings, it was Jesper Pedersen with a 44.340, which is a really good lap to start off the practice sessions. Michi Hoya in the, I would say sister car. It is the same car, the Burst Esports Simplicity number 18 machine, 44.812. On the Cynic in the 64 Maradnis E-Starts machine in 1.512. I'm looking at LMP2s. Damien Scovron in the 94 Burst Esports Goodar Sunglasses machine, 46.816. Liam Rant in the 164 Satellite Racing machine, 146.855. And then it's Tom Aldermenger in the other 94 Burst Esport Goodar Sunglasses at 147.66. And then in the GTEs, we've got the 67 of Roland Shoes, 58.426. The 67 Yukon Sim Racing car. Then you've got the 166 of Michael Pedersen in the ID SimSport 166, 58.785. And there's your third place in GT. Alexander Zakharov in the 717 Racing machine. And there is your second place driver in GT. And then to round off GT3, Maciej Kazprzyk, I hope I didn't butcher that one, my Polish is terrible. Just over 2 minutes, 2 minutes .090 in the 585 Acetic SimSports by Volante Racing. Then we've got Mads Hedegaard in the 777 DSR Gadget Pursuit HE in 201.7. And then rounding off the top three in GT3, it's the 188 Telephone Union at the wheel, Michael Slot 202.031. That's your top threes so far in this practice session.
Now, bearing in mind that this is, we're not going to see the absolute blinding laps from our drivers. We might see it towards the tail end of the session. It is just a single practice session for this evening. We'll have 2 qualifying sessions tomorrow, which will be very exciting to see. Generally, one is done in the daylight hours and one is done at night. So that is why the qualified sessions are split up like that. And it is an average of those 2 sessions that will decide who starts where on the grid for Saturday. So very much looking forward to that. We'll get an idea of the pecking order, but at the moment this is all about just getting that balance, just finding how the setup is going to work well for the car, for the drivers. Of course, we know who's registered for each team. We don't know who's going to be driving. We certainly don't know who's going to be starting or where or when. But this is also part of the joy of sim racing. Well, certainly for us, certainly multi-class racing, where you've got multiple drivers per car. It's getting that balance. Someone will want maybe a bit more oversteer in the car. Someone will prefer a bit more stability, etc., etc. I mean, stability is certainly something that is desperately needed at a track like Sebring. Again, not ragging on the circuit. It's a great circuit, but it is very, very difficult to drive. So this is going to be one that, like I said before, this is going to be a real trial for the drivers, for the teams, to just get that balance just right that gives enough compromise on everybody, but gives the best result all in all.
Yeah, we just saw Denis Ischenko there go straight on there, locking the brakes up and hitting the wall hard. Have to go back to the pit lane then, just leaving that braking just slightly too late. There's Davian Skovron in the 94 Burst Esports Good as Sunglasses LMP2 machine. Jerne Simoncic in the 18 Burst Esports Complexity machine, also flying his way around there. Currently third fastest in this practice session, but there's not really...
hot enough to make even a virtual combox much more. You raise the temperature just with your hotness and your beautiful aura, Mr. McGinley. But there we go. I'll stop that before I make anybody else sick, or before the producer shouts out. So,
which one will happen first, I wonder? Which one will they let you happen first? I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out the same as you. And so our producer's just saying he can melt his cheese on this, right? How hot it is. Just in our ears there. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Michi Hoyer, just to make sure he gets his way through. This will also be good practice as well, Chris, for when and where the best overtaking opportunities will be for our DPIs, our hypercars and our LMP2 cars, and also pretty much for the GT drivers, both in GTE and the GT3, to make an understanding of, well, where are they going to make those moves? Where are they going to launch it down the inside? Because at the end of the day, as we've said time and time again, it is up to the faster car to get past safely. There really are no blue flags. If there are any blue flags, it's just to tell you that the driver behind is not racing you. That is not for position. That's all that blue flag is there for. In any case, the faster driver has to make the pass cleanly. It is on them.
Yeah, indeed. Now, obviously, depending on how big the speed differential is, the difference between a DPI and a GT3 is pretty colossal. The DPIs are absolute animals. They've got a huge amount of downforce they can utilise, and many horses under the right foot, so they will fly past the GT3, or they'll fly past anybody actually, but the GT3s in particular, they'll really gun it past at the earliest opportunity. Oh dear, that's Alvari in Chasti, but I got that one a little bit wrong. So yeah, the DPIs will they'll have an idea of where they want to make their passes. It's up to the GT cars to behave themselves. And also, riding on the tail fin of Michi Hoyer. It's good to see him back in the car as well. He got caught out with COVID earlier in the year, so it's good to see him back in the car and doing well. But as you can see, the track is quite wide. That is one benefit of the circuit. There is room to make passes happen. It does pinch together in certain places, and I've seen many drivers caught out. Riding on board with Michi Hoyer, you get an idea, and then you're really starting to see just how those bumps just chuck you around. You can see how much he's having to work just to keep that car under control. Now, of course, the ideal way of taking any corner is just smooth.
Honestly, that's what we're doing. That's what it is. In towards Gendebine Bend and in towards Le Mans Curve, back onto the power we go, then on towards the Almond Straight. I think it's fair to say, Chris, this is a legendary bend. Sunset Bend, this long right-hander. You get right up close and personal with the wall on the left-hand side, but you pretty much try and ride the bumps through there. This is where your ride height and your suspension is tested to the limit, because you really have to set up the car for Sunset Bend, and the rest of the track, with your ride height and your suspension, just has to make do. You might even have to ride a slightly higher ride height just to compensate for Sunset Bend, and you might lose time everywhere else, but at least then the car won't bottom out on you.
And again, if the car is hitting the ground, it just becomes that much less predictable. Oh wow, and big snap there, as we saw it coming through the earlier. So that's Dennis and Shenko. That was getting squiggly under braking on the way into the corner. So that Newton Racing number 17 it may well be quick, but if it's that unpredictable, you can expect it off into the dust at some point. It's all well and good you being quick over a single lap. You've got to be quick, lap after lap after lap after lap. And exactly as you say, Kurt, giving it plenty. Nicely done, Dennis, on the way down towards that final bend with the face full. Oh, GTE, nicely done. Straight. I think it's fair to say he's on form. Dennis really giving it everything he's got. But you don't want to be doing that for hours on end. You won't manage it. As great as these drivers are, as very fit and focused as they are, you won't manage that for hours and hours and hours and hours, especially if the early hours in the morning, you've been going for, I don't know, 9, 10, 12, 16 hours, whatever. You don't want to be having an unpredictable car. You need it nice and balanced. But, the GT cars are going to have a bit of an easier time. Just they ride the bumps a little bit better, as we now look at Michael Slot again in the Telefiring and GT3 car. Beautiful white and red livery on the BMW. The GT cars are going to be a bit easier to deal with. Just the nature of the car. They're a bit easier to have a bit of a softer setup and still perform well, whereas the DPIs and the LMPs are going to be a little bit less forgiving. Now, we saw at the beginning of the season where the DPIs and the LMPs were really, really close in performance. Not obviously so much so in Monaco. That was very much a DPI track, but I don't know, I think during the twisty bits, I think the LMPs are going to really make the DPIs work for it, but on those long straights, the DPIs can get their horses galloping and they'll just leave the LMPs for dead. But, of course, most of the lap is the twisty bits. Whilst, exactly as you said, Kieran, you do set up the car primarily for the tail end of the lap. As well is going to be at its sharpest too, but you don't want to give too much away. You don't want to give away your hand, especially if you've got an ace up your sleeve. This is really where you've got to try and fine comb your setup, make sure you are in tune with the circuit as possible, and if there's a bit of weather in the practice session as well whilst you are practicing, that's even more of a chance where you can get used to the car, get used to the setup as well, and find out how the car reacts in the transition periods, which is that's a huge big hit then from Jene Simicic into the tyre wall. Might have just got about away with that one. There might be a bit of damage on that car, but again, finding the limits. Oh, and that's a Leshchenko. That's a Unison Racing machine off the track. A wild Leshchenko is found hiding behind one of the boards. The car doesn't fit there. So here is a Jene Simicic again. So let's see what happened there. So this is where he just pushed it a little bit too hard. Probably the bumps would have possibly disrupted. He's still trying to hide behind the board. This is a replay of how he ended up there in the first place. Yeah, I think it's actually a replay of how Denis Yashenko tried to use one of the boards to play hide and seek with. You need a better hiding spot there, sir. And then trying to push his way through the barrier. So that's not going well. But Yone Simicic, well, he's still going. If he has got damage on the car, it's not slowing him down any. The Burst Esports Complexity squad still at the top of the tree at the moment, but still plenty of time. We're only halfway through the first hour of the practice timing. Another hour and a half to go for the official practice timings. Of course, the drivers will have done many laps of this circuit of their own accord, but yeah, it is nice to share the time. Four wheels sliding around the penultimate turn. Very nicely done as he's catching up to one of the Corvettes. An unusual colour scheme on that one. I confess I'm still enjoying. I know it has been a little while because unfortunately we weren't able to broadcast Monza, so I've kind of missed these cars. They look absolutely fabulous. It's a shame we don't have the sunlight to really accentuate their colours. But the one I really do love is that Brazilian one. We didn't sadly see a great deal of it in the opening round. It retired very early. I really do hope that we see a bit more of it this time.
Hopefully you'll be back to see a little bit more of us. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flicks, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry, NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
then to GTR24H, the practice session, official practice session of the 12 hours of Sebring, the third round of the My name is Kieran McGinley. Chris Buxton joining me for this one, and we are looking at a very, very interesting weekend, not only with our teams and our drivers, but also with the weather front that it's on its way. And we have also seen the likes of Jesper Pedersen hit that wall at Sunset Bend. He's not the first, and I can guarantee you he will not be the last. Chris, back.
Hello. No, he won't be the last to try and rearrange the wall with his car. That's going to happen quite a few times, I dare say. Again, no disrespect to our drivers. That's just the nature of the beast and how difficult it is to navigate this circuit at pace for a while. There's one we haven't seen for a little bit. Damien Scovron, the Burst Esports Good Sunglasses car. One of them, as Kieran was saying earlier, we may well see, or we have already seen, multiple copies of the same car out there in a practice session. We'll jump back to Iona Simoncic in number 18. That's allowed in practice. We've seen it. We saw it particularly in the Monza practice session where they were practicing slipstreaming essentially, or they were just having a lot of fun with all four cars out there at the same time. There's the B32 racing car. Unfortunately, we don't know which one of the three drivers is in it at the moment. In the gorgeous black and orange and white accented McLaren. I'd forgotten that livery actually.
Good one, isn't it?
That's a good looking car, particularly with the animal on the side. And as you can bring in a bit of an animal to wrestle around the final turn, still second in class. Oh, that's optimistic. From I think he bailed on that one. He saw that wasn't going well. That was at the beginning of the turn, so yeah, that was an energetic way of trying to take the final corner. I suspect he may have locked up a bit going into the final turn. If you see a car going that sideways, it's not going to go well.
No, it doesn't seem like it is, does it? There's the telephoning in 188. Michael behind the wheel of that one, and currently 20 points racked up so far this season. Finished both races as well, which is going for some of these teams as well. And there is Henrik Hoyer in the 404 Glam Racing machine, also on 20 points, that team. So a little bit of a rivalry going on between these two cars this season. They've swapped positions at the tracks we've had so far, at Matsusaka and at Monza. So they're level on points, exactly.
Let's have some of that, as far as I'm concerned. Like I say, Henrik Hoyer in the Glam Racing, lovely purple and black Audi screaming its way around. Well, trying to mind its own business. It's being chased by the Telephony in white and red BMW. Yeah, what a great race that was. Matsusaka. That was a great fight. Again, it seemed so long ago because it was a couple of months ago. We didn't have a chance to deal with Monza in the middle. The race happened as we went in. Oh, that was close from the burst car coming up towards the back of Telephony and BMW. There you go. There's a prime example of how the DPIs are going to have to really be on their toes for when they catch traffic. It, of course, will be when. It's where they catch it. It's going to be the big telling point. Can they keep the car under control at the point where they have to make those very, very sudden decisions, or are they going to try and integrate their car into somebody else? Well, if they do that, it's going to be very messy if that happens. That's
integrate. What an interesting phrase, Mr. Buck.
Well, yeah, it's you know me. I like to do things a little bit differently.
Just a little bit, just a tad. We love you for it, Mr. I said our whimsical wordsmith and our metaphorical maestro. I called you at Matsusaka, and yes, I will be, a little bit of a metaphor of my own, but that's by the by. I'm looking forward to this because, yes, as you say, Matsusaka, great race, full of drama all the way through. No matter what happened, it just seemed like every hour was something offered new. But it was also the race weekend where my voice just decided to say goodbye to everybody.
Oh, yes, it did, didn't it?
And everybody carried me through like the great team they were. So that was that.
I mean, you gave it everything you could with as much voice as you could muster. In fairness, you didn't shirk away from your responsibility. You ploughed on, stiff upper lip and all that. And you were determined to see it through.
But you know, the most annoying thing about that, Chris, was that on Thursday night I was fine. Friday, absolutely fine. We got to Saturday. Oh, that's Richard Polensny off into the wall there. I didn't quite catch whereabouts that was, but racing backwards into the wall. Yeah, I was fine on Friday. I was fine in qualifying on the Saturday. Woke up on the Sunday. Boys decided to say farewell. I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe it. You heard that I was absolutely fuming when that happened. Absolutely fuming. But I thought it might get better as we got throughout the day. No, it got worse. I was a bit, what's the word?
Well, the word you were is not on weekend broadcast. You were not a happy man.
I was not. I was really not.
You soldiered on, and we had an absolutely fantastic race as a result, as I have every belief we will here at Sebring as well.
Oh, just caught the end of a burst car going sideways. I don't know if anybody caught that going through there, just through turn one, but that back end absolutely let loose there. And I don't think Simic was going to catch that one just very easily, as we see Damian Skovron into the pits. Oh, sorry, that is Jurne Simic into the pits. It's picked up. I believe it was him in the background. But anyway, Honokoya in the Glam Racing 404 machine, that lovely Audi. Matsusaka, Yusuf and I basically did a show, the breakfast show, which we rated all the deliveries, and I think Yusuf said to me that he was bribed by Lemon Cake by Maria, the team leader at Glam Racing, bribed by cake, and yet still gave delivery a 7. So I don't know what the rating would have been without the cake. I mean, Yusuf's not here to defend himself.
I was about to say that. we can rag on our own colleagues. He's not here to defend himself. So
absolutely, he'd do the same for me as well. It's all the same.
Oh wow! I mean, what can you say to that? It is difficult though, because these liveries are. I remember having this discussion with both yourself and also Alex Goldschmidt. He won't be with us this weekend. He's got other commitments. But we had a very similar conversation. I seem to remember him and I really didn't agree. I mean, it didn't help that I changed my mind every 5 minutes, because these liveries look absolutely brilliant. But that. I think, if I recall, we tried to. I think we tried to sort of pick one from each class on which we particularly liked. And I just reminding myself, the ones I went for, if I recall, were the 17 Unison Racing DPI car. I don't think we've seen that yet on circuit. In the LMPs, reminding myself which one it was. The Cyberlinks car's quite nice, but it's a bit pink for my liking. So
I would have had to go Team Iris, I think. 77 car.
That's even more pink.
I know. I'm a huge fan of it, to be honest.
I like the Deuces one, the sort of red and white LMP. In the GTEs, it's the black and purple Audi is the GT3. See, the GTE, I remember this gave me a bit of a head scratcher because I really couldn't decide which way I was going to go, and I can't actually remember which way I did go in the end. The 264 satellite racing cars does look quite nice, the blue and red colour scheme there. But in the GT3s, the Glam Racing 404 was quite nice. The B32 Racing McLaren is also quite nice, that black and orange accent car. We didn't see it was the CKR team, the Brazilian flag livery car, we didn't see a lot of. Sadly, hopefully they do. They have a better run this time out, because that thing does look nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, last time out, they won their class.
True, they did.
So they're straight back in there. Maybe it really is a commentator's curse. Maybe CKR want us to stay away, Chris.
It could well be. I will be. I think I made the comment I'll be fired by the end of the day because we did do a few commentators' curses. I seem to remember.
Quite a few, yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
Well, we say that. I mean, one, we don't have any control over it, and two, we need to be good at something.
That's true. Actually, very good point, Mr. Buxton. We do need to be good at something. And if it's cursing drivers and teams, then so be it. There's that CKR car.
There it is.
McLaren. So we do see it there, as we see David Mrocek in the number 18 Burst Esports. I will say, I do apologise if I some of these names. My Danish, my Dutch, and my Polish are absolutely dreadful. Up there with my Portuguese, just absolutely dreadful. I seem to remember being shouted at by our production team because I did try and say a few words in Danish, and I don't think I'll offend them again because they're the ones paying us. So, moving on. Very true.
There is Mr. Simiches again, so still doing the miles in number 18. Just as I mentioned that, there's David Mrocek in, again, another one of the 18 Burst Esports Simplicity cars. So there's an example of seeing the same car out there twice, but under two different drivers. And then you're allowed to do that in practice. You are not, you're not able to, let alone allowed to, have that during qualifying. Also, as Kieran said, you cannot do a quick recovery to pits in the qualifying session. You have to get back there under your own steam. As one of the GTE BMWs, that's the 717, that's the Unison car, getting out of the way. Very nicely done. I'm not sure which of the Unison drivers that is, but that is who that has just gone past. Rather minding their own business, just continuing to do the miles. Marshy, because I struggled with this one last time. Kaspersky, I think it is, or Kaspersky, in the 585, that's the Azatec Simsports by Volante racing car. Almost got a smile on his face, actually, looking at it from the front. It was almost a grinning Audi there.
Little Audi flapping around there. Grin on its face.
It's optimistic.
It is. And I'm sure Azatec will be optimistic about this weekend as well. I mean, they are and build on their momentum at the moment. They finished. They won, of course. The 585, yeah, they won at Matsusaka, but didn't quite do so well at Monza. They didn't finish there, so they'll be hoping they can bounce back here at Sebring and really get themselves back up the order again, because GT3 is one of the closest championships we have at the moment. Mugen Sim Racing the 82 on 37 points. Then you've got Volante Racing the 585. They're on 32 points. That puts them fourth, and they share that points tally with two other teams, B32 Racing and CKR. That's phenomenally close in GT3 at the moment after 2 rounds. I can't wait to see how the remaining 4 plan out.
Yeah, you and me both, sir. You and me both. Very, very much looking forward to this. Yeah, broken record statement, and I don't apologise for making it either. Look at that, at the top of the shot there. A couple of the DPIs getting rid of there. Lucas Verla is the general. Wow! Getting very, very lively. That's loose, I think, is the correct term, but Struth alive. That was a very, very oversteering getting into that final turn. I remember, I think one of the first times I commentated Sebring, it was in iRacing, and I saw someone run out of fuel on the last lap at that point, that penultimate corner, and someone tried to push that stranded driver along that back straight, and unfortunately they hit the instant limit and they both got disqualified for it.
Not great. Hello everyone watching along as well. Just having a quick look at the YouTube chat. We have Nick Newcomb there. Great to see you in the chat there, Nick. Hopefully both your cars and juices are looking for day and this weekend actually. And Alex is in the chat there. Mr. Goldschmidt, hello to you, Alex. Hopefully you're having a great time listening to myself and Chris rabbit on about whatever we like. Preferably about the upcoming weekend and the practice session, but I mean, don't hold us to that.
There'll be bits of it.
Yeah, bits. Of course there will.
We won't turn it into a podcast with a bit of rating thrown in. We won't go quite that far.
We're close. Yes. Close. Very close. Very close. Now, hopefully you are enjoying watching along, and obviously looking forward to seeing your favourite teams out there and seeing what they can do for this weekend. And as we've already mentioned, Chris, the GT3 class is very, very close. 5 points separating the top 5 teams, which is phenomenal after the 2 rounds we've had so far. We've got DPI where we are seeing the momentum, we are seeing things take shape with Burst Esports Complexity at the top of the standings. They've had 2 wins so far. They've pretty much had a clean sweep, got every single point, but the pole position at Monza eluded them. It went to Miradnis E-Stars, so they don't quite have... It's getting very crowded. Very, very crowded indeed, coming up towards Sunset Bend. But everybody just about makes their way through. Yeah, in the DPI class, things are starting to take shape with the top 4 teams all finishing in exactly the same positions throughout. We've got Semi-On Axle and Team Producton, the only 2 teams to finish in a different position this season, and it's Semi-On Axle currently ahead of Team Producton by 7 points. As Lucas Verla comes back into the pits for CKR off the back of their win at Monza in the GT3 class, they'll be looking to really build on that momentum this weekend.
Very, very true indeed. Lucas doing a bit of pit stop practice. As a reminder, they don't hand the car over to anybody. There's numerous copies of the same car out there. Michi Hoyer, we did see briefly coming past one of the GTEs. Damien Scovron currently in the lead of the class, or the Burst Esports Gooder Sunglasses team in charge of the LMP2 class at the moment on the timing board. Jesper Peterson he's pretty much been out there all night so far. He's not wanting to come in at all. He's been just clocking up the laps, minding his own business, and with a 1:44.168 on the timing board for the number 18 team. Can't say car as mentioned, because there's numerous of them in the practice session, but that puts them just shy of a tenth, 2 tenths behind the top spot at the moment, where you can actually see in the tower all 4 of the top 4 times are actually the same team. It is the Burst Esports Complexity squad, so I think that they're allowed to inspire a bit of confidence in themselves as a result of that.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right. I'm just having a look at the weather forecast. If we bring that radar up, I wonder if there's been any changes, because we were in roughly 3 hours supposed to see some rain, and this is going forward a little bit in time, and there is some rain. This is Monza 2021 all over again, isn't it, Chris? This is what's happening here. It's all happening around the circuit at the moment, not quite hitting it just yet.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, is that we really were looking forward to the rain influencing the session, and it didn't. So this time we can say, no, we're not going to see any rain. It'll absolutely chuck it down about 10 minutes after we made that particular prediction. Wojciech Polesny from the Czech Republic. Oh, getting that all wrong. There's commentator Curse. I mentioned his name, he flies off the road.
That's terrible, Chris. You should own up to that.
Yeah, how dare I? Part of the dudes. Oh, he's going backwards into the pit lane. Oh, well, okay.
We're just having a replay of it here, and it just looked like he was slowed down the main straight and then tried to push on, and I just wonder if the cold tyres caught him out going through turn 1. Just too much load into them very early on. Could be a viable reason there, but yeah, not great at losing the back end there, but I think that's just down to tyre temperatures. They weren't up to temperature. They weren't up to full speed there, because he was going slow down the main straight.
Could well be. Could have been the end of an outlap and starting to see what time you can get on that run. It has come to a rather abrupt end as we look at David Mrocek, third on the timing screen, as one of the 4 times set by the Burst Esports. Well, they've said numerous times, but all 4 drivers have been out there getting times on the board, just 2.5 tenths off the top spot with that 44.426. As he comes over the line, do we see an improvement? Not that time. He remains where he was. There is that lovely screaming Audi, the purple and black colour scheme going on for the 404 Glen Racing squad. Oh, Liam Rance, that's the 164 satellite team. Currently third of 3 at the moment. There are more than 3 LMP2s in the class. There's Denis Sachenko. He's given up playing hide and seek, and he's out there to try and improve on the 1:45.660. It's only half a second off the top spot. I beg your pardon. So I'll half a second off the next spot, I should say. So again, we're not seeing huge amount of times difference. It's a decent sized lap, as you can see. 1 3/4 minutes for the DPIs. A decent sized lap for these cars to have to deal with. But it's because of the nature of the circuit. There's plenty of places you can lose time. So to get the best out of the lap, you absolutely have to really remain focused. Sounds like an obvious statement, and partly it is, but this more than a number of other circuits you have got to really stay alert.
Yeah, I was just having a look at the weather radar again. I don't know if we'll bring it up, but I mean, we're due some rain. We are due some rain. So this is past at the moment. Then it'll stop, and that's what the forecast 10 minutes from now will be. So it's as far as I can see, there might be some rain within the next 10-15 minutes. It's really, but if it is, it should only be a shower, which will annoy teams even more, I think, because they'll want to say, well, if it rains, just let it rain. Just rain, just open the heavens. But no, it from what I can see, we could be due for a little bit of a shower very shortly. But then again, Chris, this is just Monza 2021 all over again. Rain's on the way, it could be on the way, but it never came. We just made us like fools, Mr. Buck.
We had our hearts broken last time. I'm not going through it again. I only just got over it from last time. We will see. The weather is not something we control. For those that are slightly unaware, yes, we could, strictly speaking, stick the weather to a given condition. But what we're trying to do is run the weather as close to what the weather is actually doing in the track's location. So right now is the weather that we try and replicate. Or we do replicate it, I should say. We get the actual weather data from what is going on right now at this very location. So the only thing we control is time of day, so that we can do the qualifying in day and night. But as far as weather is concerned, we replicate exactly what is going on at the track's location at the time that we do the race. So that is why we have these kind of mixture of conditions. We're not trying to aggravate the teams, although it's quite amusing sometimes when we manage it. But it's one of these things that, again, just adds to the show. It adds to the variety that we offer here at GTR24H.
Just adds that a little bit of tension to the teams, so because they can see themselves what the weather's going to be like within the next couple of minutes. So it really adds the tension to them as well, because it gets them on their feet and thinking, how do we react to this? What's going to happen? And even then, as the beautiful weather forecast is, as we know it and love it, weather forecast isn't always telling the truth. And that is just how real life is. And that's what teams have to go through in motorsport. So they should have to go through it in sim sports as well. We are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, more of the same, a bit more practice and a bit more talking from myself and Chris. Don't go anywhere.
2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flicks, Motorvision.tv, Stengol, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the digital snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back everyone to the GTR24H EEWC. Round number 3 takes us to the legendary Sebring circuit. Respect the bumps, respect them, respect them. I am myself, Kieran McGinley, joining Chris Buxton with you for this practice session just to see how the drivers are getting on. This is a little sneak peek, a window into what to expect for this weekend. And Chris, it's probably a wise idea going into this weekend give our viewers a little bit of a taste of how the championship standings look. Should we have another go at it?
I quite agree. Let's have a look then at how the championships stand. Let's have a look at our DPI, or let's discuss our DPI standings first of all. So at the top of the tree is the Burst Esports Simplexity number 18 squad, as you can see, with 53 points. As Kieran was explaining earlier, almost an entire clean sweep except for the pole position last time out of Monza. That was stolen by the Moradnis squad, who sits second in the championship on 39, with the number 17 Unison Racing on 32. So a very strong start by Burst Esports Simplexity to begin with Team Adrenaline on 26. The number 11 of 7-9 Axel on 18, and the number 1, the Time Viaduct, in not the way they would have wanted to have started the season, just on 11 points at the bottom of the table. LMP2 next. Let's have a look at how they currently stand. It's a familiar name up top. It's the Burst squad again, but not such a dominant performance this time out. So the number 94 car with 47 points, just 2 ahead of the number 21. That's the 7-9 Axel team, right hot on their heels. Then there is a bit of a gap to the 164, the Satellite Racing team on 29. They're being chased by the Team Iris and Deuces Motorsport Club. Very, very hot order there. So the 164 team in third position, then the 77 Team Iris in fourth, with the 15 and Deuces at Motorsport in sixth position. Then Cyberlinks, the 241 car on 17. Then at the tail end of the field is the Team Ebrit. We haven't seen out as yet, but we will look forward to them. Mr. McGinley, do you want to take the GTE and GT3s?
I'd be delighted. GTE standings at the moment, then there is a team that looks like they've got a clean sweep, and that is Juice's Motor Club. Sorry, not a clean sweep, almost a clean sweep, apart from that pesky second place on their record at Monza. Apart from that, they do lead the championship by 10 points ahead of the 67 Mugen Sim Racing the team that took the race win away from them. Then it's the 54 Musto Pescara machine in third place on 30 points. The 27 MCM Motorsport on 20 points. Joining them on 20 points also is the 45 DIS Sim Racing Lab team and the 717 Unison Racing team. Then you've got the Satellite Racing 264 car with 16 points, the 53 Musto Pescara machine on 15 points, and ID SimSport 166 did not finish. They are on 9 points. It stands. And to quickly take you through GT3, one of the closest championships we have coming into this weekend, and it's topped at the moment by Mugen Sim Racing, the 82 car on 37 points. Podiums so far this season: a third at Matsusaka, a second at Monza. If we love patterns, might know what to expect at Sebring. CKR are on the back of their race win last time out at Monza. That has brought them into second place on 32 points. Joining them on 32 points is the B32 Racing Machine, the number 32 apparently, on 32 points. A lot of 32s today. And Volante Racing by Aztec SimSports, the 585 machine, having won the first race at Matsusaka. Not such a great time at Monza, puts them on 32 points. Then it's the 777 DSR GadgetHoost.dk car on 29 points, coming off the back of their podium at Monza last time out. The 188 Telefoningen car on 20 points. Joining them, Glam Racing 404, also on 20 points. Both teams just swapping results from race to race. That's how all four of our championships looks, and I mean, there's talking points everywhere you look. The fact that Burst Esports are a point shy of a perfect sweep, that the GT3 classes are very, very close together. The midfield of the GTEs, very, very close as well. Juice's Motorsport in the 74 starting to try and pull away. I mean, there's talking points everywhere you look, Mr. Butt.
Indeed, indeed. We are never left far away from having to find anything to talk about. Let's have a look at how the timings currently sit. Now, for a while, we had four of the Burst Esports Simplexity team at the top of the tree in the DPIs. As you can see in the tower at the top left, that is not the case any longer. Derek Mrocek has the fastest time at the moment, 1:43.984, the only man into the 43s so far this session. Jesper Peterson, also of the number 18 squad, is just a couple of tenths behind him, or less than that indeed, just 0.184 of a second behind. Then in third is Henri Cynic for the Maradnity Star squad member. As we said earlier, those were the guys that stole the pole. We say stole the pole, not meaning that in a disingenuous sense, not like they didn't deserve it. It's just a case that they were the ones able to wrestle the top spot from the so far all-conquering Burst Esports Simplexity team. So the number 64 car in third in the times at the moment. Then Denis Shchenko, we've seen him a few times out there for Unison in the number 17 car, and fifth on the timing screens. We're at fourth team out there. It's the team Adrenaline number 33, Sebastian Deville, with 1:46.203 for the DPIs. In LMPs, now it's not a mandatory session, so we don't see every single team out there. So we do only have a couple of our LMP2 representatives out there, and they're both 94. It is the Burst Esports Good as Sunglasses squad, Damien Scoffron and Tom Olmenenger, who is out there at the moment. They're the only team to have set a time in the LMP2 category, so not much we can talk about there. We continue to see the Unison number 17, Denis Sishenko, looking to try and improve on his time. 1:45.277 is what he was set, just 1.5 tenths off of Henri Cynic. Only 1.2 seconds off the top spot as well. In GTEs, we've got Wojtek Polesny, or Volta Polesny, or Wojtek Polesny, depending on how formal you want to be. Wojtek is his full name. Wojtek is the shortened version of it. 1:56.531 in the number 74. And then in second in the GTEs is the number 67. That's Roland Sux for Mugen Sim Racing. Again, less than half a second behind the top spot at the moment. And then number 27, it is Angel Banagas for the MCM Motorsport team with a 1:57.855 on the board. Leading the GT3s at the moment is the 585 car of Maciej Kaspersky in the the Aztec Sim Sports by Valenti Racing car. 159.273 on the board for him, actually disrupting the order of the GTEs. I don't think there's a huge time gap, GTE to GT3. The 32 car just caused a yellow flag and disappeared again, so he's jumped back to the pits. So again, we don't know who pilots that car at any one time. And they've got 3 drivers they use, but unfortunately, because the driver name comes up as B32 Racing, we're not sure which one is in the car at the time. But they are second in the GT3 class with a 159.81. And third is that lovely Brazil emblazoned CKR car number 13, Lucas Vela, in charge of that one at the moment. As we continue to see Denis Shchenko doing the rounds as the weather at the moment is holding off, but I'm giving it no hope. It broke my heart last time, and I'm not falling for it again.
A wise move, Mr. Bucks. Very wise move. There's Denis Shchenko then in the number 17 Unison machine, making his way now up towards the final corner at Sunset Bend. Pulls that lap together, see what he can do. He set his personal best to Sector 2 last time. No, I'm actually lying to everybody there. But he's now making his way on towards the start-finish line to start another lap. There's Roland Schutz then in the 67 Mugen Sim Racing machine. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1. I think that's for Angel Bonegas, but he's now reset his car back to the pit lane. Maybe just a slight spin for him there. Now, there's a new driver we have yet to see. It's Sebastian Deville in the 33 Team Adrenaline machine. We haven't seen Team Adrenaline so far in this practice session, but they have arrived.
There they are, yep, that lovely black and red accented DPI. 146.203, Sebastian has got on the board for Team Adrenaline. Where do they sit in? They are 4th in the championship at the moment. 26 points they have to the good, getting 12 points both for Matsusaka and for Monza. So 4th place in class twice. Nice and consistent. Whoa, Denis Shchenko giving that plenty of forward sliding coming through the lap. I mean, that's one way. It's not the quickest way of dealing with his lap, but he's probably having a bit of fun seeing how far, exploring the limits of the car in a very dramatic style, not throwing it into the wall at the very least. Again, as we've seen, the track is very testing. Now, something I will point out, as you've just seen from Denis Shchenko there, you'll see repeatedly drivers crossing that line at Le Mans curve. That's that penultimate turn before you get onto the Ormond Straight. That is perfectly allowed, and every driver will do it. And it's absolutely crucial that drivers maximise their exit from that penultimate turn, because they're on the gas for a very, very long time, all the way down that back straight. So you will see them cross only 2 wheels over that line to maximise their exit. So we now switch to Damien Scovron, the 94 team, the only of the energy team. Just a bit of airtime as well, as Shchenko really chucking the car in and hoping it sticks as well. Thought that car can take the beating there. Body to racing machine. Final corner, a Filo replay coming up, says our producer, and this will be why going off at turn 1. And takes an advertising board with him. Oh!
Mighty hit though.
And there went the rear wing. Oh, that's a souvenir for the marshals. Truth alive, he did that properly. Whichever one of the B32 drivers that was, he did a good job. So that's Kari Helmer Hoofgaard or Rasmus Rolqvist or Pelle Andersen who will be in charge of that car. Like I said before, we don't know which of the drivers is ever in that machine. But one of them did a pretty good job of trying to restyle the already good-looking Audi.
Yeah, I don't think it needs restyling, but, you know, each to their own, I guess. One of those, it's one of those. We see Michael Slot then making his way through in towards turn 1, then making his way towards turn 2. BMW behaves itself now, the Telephonigan machine. But then he comes back to the pit lane, so obviously not happy with that lap. Comes back straight to the pit lane. Now, of course, okay, if you are new to this sort of racing here on, to be aware that drivers can just stop out on track, press escape, come back to the garage in this session. But from qualifying tomorrow, that stops. Cars will have to make sure they get back to the pit lane under their own power and under their own steam. They can't be pushed either, otherwise penalties will be dished out. We saw that actually in Monza 2021. I think you and I were doing the qualifying session, Mr. Buxton. We did see someone, just as a friendly goodwill gesture, push someone back to the pit lane, but because of that, got a penalty for it.
They did. They got disqualified from the session, I believe. Yes, well remembered. I can barely remember this morning, let alone then, but I do remember that particular incident that, to which you described. Yes, well remembered. There is Sebastian Deville again in the 33 Adrenaline car, doing what he can to improve on his standing. 5th in the DPIs at the moment, so just a couple of seconds off the top spot, but at the moment they may well not be wanting to show too much of what they're capable of. There's the MCM Motorsports car as well, as we cut to Omni Cynic. There's one of the Audis just making its way through the pit lane. That will be that's the Azatec car, the 585 Audi. We've just seen going through the shop. Can't quite see all of Omni's car in there. Maybe he's in the pit lane having an ice cream or what have you. Fairly muggy out there in Sebring, we think at the moment. Or the weather can't decide what it wants to do. And there is Sebastian Deville. Where are you? That's coming through the twisties. Yeah, that's down heading towards Tower 10, I think. Whoa, that's one way to do it. The car going very quickly on the way in. On board, that's Damien Scarborough again in the LMP2 car. Going past that, I believe, is Andy Kurtzen in the 45 DIS Simulating Lab Porsche. I think that's who is out. Well, there was the only, I'm pretty sure he's the only one out there for the 45 squad at the moment. Over the line for Skovron. Oh, someone's just caused the yellow fan. That was Matt Hedegaard in the 777 Gadgethausen Corvette. As introduces car to the wall somewhere. 146.816, still Daniel Skovron's time. Oh, we've just been informed the rain is falling. So I was beginning to fall. Ah, yes, you can see it on the bonnet of the car. You can actually see the rain beginning to fall. Oh my. Now, this is going to do one or two things. Either drivers are going to use this chance to see how their cars are going to behave during, during wet play, so to speak, or they're going to park in and think, you know what, I've had enough of this. We've done what we want to do in this session. I'm hoping that they actually come out and give it a try, because if there's rain, as we believe there to be, we believe there's going to be rain during the weekend. So it's in their best interest to come out and have a play, as Jone Simoncic is doing exactly that in the top-rated number 18 versus Esports Simplexity's car. It was a top-rated car, top-rated time, I should say. As he's working his way through the field.
That was a car off, one of the Porsches. I think that was Andy Kurtzen, sorry, yes, in the DIS Sim Racing Lab machine, who lit up those rear tyres and found himself spinning around. And this could be a little bit of an issue as well, because yes, it is raining, but I mean, it's not raining really hard at the moment. It's pretty much drizzle at this moment in time. So how wet is the track going to get? How damp is it going to get? And there is this phenomenon, Mr. Buxton, about psychological rain. You start to react to what you can see rather than what you can feel. And one of the big things as well is trying to override that instinct of, well, I can see rain, so it must be wet, rather than turning into a corner and saying, well, actually, it's still dry. It's not quite wet enough yet.
Yeah, now we Brits are absolute experts when it comes to drizzle. It is what pretty much our country is known. It's one of the things we Brits are known for is our terrible weather. So yeah, the effect of drizzle we are very, very much an expert in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Is some drivers overcorrect based on what they think the car is going to do. Oh, it's a little bit wet here, therefore the car is going to slide, as opposed to what the car is actually doing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've done it myself. Obviously not a real car. Oh, wow. That was almost a bit of a demonstration of that from Sebring there, because he threw the car in really quite hard, expecting, I think, the car to slide more than it did. And because it then gripped much more than he was expecting, he had to open up the steering, otherwise he was going to do some lawn mowing on the inside line. So that was almost perfect timing, that as kind of commentator's curse in reverse, as a commentator blessing in a sense, or a driver reacting to a commentator's comment. So that's quite an unusual thing.
Commentator's blessing, come on, that's not a thing. Come on now, don't be silly, Mr. Buxton, come on now.
I consider myself disciplined by Lord McGinley there. But yeah, it's one of these things of exactly as you're saying, you're reacting to what you think the car is going to do. We've had a little bit of rain somewhere, so it starts to make the drivers a little bit edgy on, okay, the car is going to slide, I need to either approach this differently or attack this particular corner in a different manner, when in actual fact the car is perfectly capable of gripping exactly as it has done every single time you chuck it around this corner previously. So you end up just way overdoing the steering. So yeah, it is a strange phrase, but it is actually a thing. It's a psychological rain. You just basically preempting a condition that hasn't actually taken hold yet.
That's it, and it's such a big thing to try and get yourself out of. I think we did see Sebastian Deville and the Team Adrenaline machine at turn 1 there, having a bit of a moment and off track, just out of the corner of our eyes, and we might be able to see it here. Now this is coming through Sunset Bend then, round the outside of one of the user cars. Oh, that's a big hit from Deville. That would be why it wasn't turn 1, it was the final turn. Right to go round the outside of this Unison racing machine, I think that was the 717, and just ran out of grip, it looked like there.
Now that again it could well be, if there's been a little bit of rain that's fallen at that point in the circuit, that's actually the point where just a tiny bit of grip change is going to be most exacerbated because it's so bumpy out there. So yeah, we haven't had a lot of rain. It's not going to make a great deal of difference to the most part of the circuit, but again, we've seen time and time again these cars bounce around like mad coming through that section in the dry. So if you start to alter how much grip you've actually got, even by a really, really small amount, just the amount of lateral force going on in these cars, and you'll be sliding much more than you anticipate. So under normal circumstances, the DPI would have just skirted around the outside of the Unison car. I think it was Max Bunevik that has that one at the moment. That wouldn't have been an issue normally, but it's just that tiny bit of perspiration, that little bit less grip out there, and Sebastian Deville then found the outside line rather, well, he found an impact out there, more accurately.
Damien Scovero then in the Burst Esports Good Sunglasses machine, through, currently one of the fastest in class at the moment. Way through the twisties, as Mr. Buxton has. So now they are named the twisties. That is it now in towards Genderby and Bend. Lost out there, but that's okay because it's my first time here and I'm allowed. That's Le Mans curve. There we go, on towards the Oldman Street. I was there or thereabouts. No, I was completely wrong.
that was Tower turn. We're now coming down towards Gendebian, which is this section here. Now we're coming into Le Mans. Yeah, it's very easy to do. It's very, very easy to do. The amount of times I've called wrong corners out, fear not, Mr. McGinley, you're in safe hands here. Now we're on to the Oldman Straight, now heading down to the legendary Sunset Bend. You can always tell Sunset Bend, if nothing else, just by the amount of bouncing going on. Or porpoising seems to be the new buzzword for that kind of behaviour. God knows who came up with that one. But Damien Scott then coming over the line. Does he improve? 146.816 his time. Nope. That is... No, he was about a second off it the last time around. But pressing on nonetheless, it is just the 94 Best Esports Good as Sunglasses team for the MP2 category that is out there tonight. As mentioned, it's not a mandatory practice session. It is a good idea to do them. It gives us an opportunity to shout about these drivers, but it's good to see where you are in the pecking order on track, as well as just where you think you are as far as your pace and your setup, what have you, is concerned. There's the telephoning, oh, I can't say it. Try again. Teleforingen. This is going to make Alex Goldschmidt giggle his head off. I'm struggling with that. That BMW, the number 188. Cheat. I'll use the safe option out of that one. I can't say it, production. You know I can't say it. And I've just been corrected by our production there, and I won't get it right. I know I won't. So I'll just say the 188. I'll cheat. I'll be English, and I won't butcher it any further. But you're seeing now the timing of the categories coming up on screen there. Of course, as you can see there, only the number 94 squad is out there for the LMP2 class. So not a lot to show for them at the moment. But of course, this is the screen we'll see during the course of the weekend. That's our GTE class. That is currently topped by the number 67, Roland Sukes, that has set the time for Mugen Sim Racing in their grey and blue car. 1:56.969 their time. They're seeing them to the top of the class with Unison Racing. One of the Unison Racing times, that is Max Bunovic in the 717. The other 717 time is Nikolai Bezrukov. And our GT3s is being led by the CKR, or on my time screen, actually second, but I haven't got. I think our lead time's actually disappeared. So at the moment, or who's left in session, is the CKR, the number 13, Lucas Verla. As you can see at the top of that particular screen, 1:59.398. So not a huge gap between the GT3s and GTEs at this circuit. A yellow flag. Who's caused a yellow flag? That's Michael Peterson in the 166 ID Sim Sport car. Currently second is that B32. The B32 Clarence, the black and white accented car. And Mads Hedegaard in the DSI Gadget Huset number 777 Corvettes. What have we got a replay on? What's Sebastian Deville going to do? Down towards... Oh no, he's not been up to anything, just minding his own business. We've still got the yellow flag out there for there's the 32 car that's had a bit of a problem early on in the lap, somewhere at turn 1 at a guess. Oh, he's back on. He's back to pit lane, so he's out of the way. Oh no, there's Michael Peterson still causing yellow flag out there.
Yeah, so I think it's towards the end of sector 1. He's got the car at the moment, but we'll have a look out for him, see if we can spot him out. Whilst we try and spot him, we're going to take a quick commercial. Hopefully when we come back, we can find Michael there. We'll see though. Don't go anywhere.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flits, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry, NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back then to the GTR24H practice for Sebring. Round 3 of the EEWC, and whilst you're away, Gert Nielsen was taking his way through Sunset Bend and had a little bit of a meeting with the wall, and it looks like to me the wall won. Myself, Kieran Gidley and Chris Buxton join you for the next half an hour. There he is, there's Michael Pedersen, we found him. We did find him. He's currently back into the pit lane. Chris, half an hour of our commentary, if you like, for the session, but for the drivers, they'll go long into the night trying to test out what weather is thrown their way. But we're at Sebring, and there, of course, there's someone off there at Bend who's now brought himself back to the pit lane. Production literally just told me, so that's not great. But anyway, we've got the Beat 32 car out there going in towards turn 1. A little bit of a replay, and they spun around. That back end really snapped on them there. Whoever was in that car, the back end snapped on them in that McLaren.
Yeah, that wasn't delicate. That was fairly conclusive end to that particular run. Much like the rain didn't seem to stick around. At least it actually showed itself this time.
That's true.
Rather
us,
just flirting with us, yeah.
Your flirty rain, yeah. It teased us, didn't it?
There's another strange, another Buxton anecdote there.
But you don't get this. Yeah? You get this in the practice. There's too much to focus on in qualifying in the race. You only get this in practice, you see.
So true, so true. Bit of a change as far as the times are concerned, as you can see in the tower in the top left-hand corner. The DPIs are now being governed again by, the top 3 times are being governed by the Burst Esport Simplexity team. Mracek, Simoncic and Jesper Pedersen now the top 3 times in the DPI class. Still no more of the LMP2 teams have appeared. GTE-wise, it's Ron Suk still for Mugen. At the top of the tree, Max Bunovic for Unison and Angel Benegas for MCM. No particular change in the GT3s either. It was I thought there was more changes than that, actually. That's why I was bringing up the point. But no, it's just the DPIs that have shuffled around. Oh, Sebastian Deville has parked his car somewhere again. I didn't quite see where he'd done that. He was the one that was bringing out the yellow flag. earlier on, as we see the. I practiced this in the commercial break, and I've already forgotten how to say it. The Telefroingen number 188 car. That's as close as I'm going to get, and that's what I'm going to stick with. It's the BMW. Michael Slot. We've seen times from Jan Bruitsgaard and Gert Nielsen. Of course, Gert Nielsen having a close encounter with the wall. Well, a bit close for his liking as he slammed into it. Michael Slot then still sixth in the times at the moment. He's on his outlap, so that's not a time lap for him. Was he about 3.3 seconds off the top slot? Now, the times may not hold too much sway. Of course, it's a 12-hour race, so are we really going to pay too much attention to the times? Yes and no. The qualifying order is not 100% crucial, but you do get an idea of where you sit in the pecking order. It gives you an idea of what to expect or who you're realistically going to be up against. But, I mean, how many things change in an endurance race? Any endurance fan will tell you how much will change hour to hour, half an hour to half an hour indeed, let alone over the course of 12. As Omri Cynic is also part of this car somewhere. It's Henrik Hoyer again, as the Glam Racing number 404 Audi. Looks nice, it's doing pretty well, roughly in the middle of the GT3 field. We've seen 8 cars out, or 8 times sets, not 8 teams, because some of them are, as I say, from the same squad. I think that's the only 404 time I can see on the timing at the moment. So Henrik Hoyer representing the squad solo. There's Denis Ichenko, still 5th in the DPI timings. That's the Unison car. The 4 ahead of them are in the pits at the moment, so 145, 160, just 400ths of a second behind the 64 Maradnis E-Stars car. Bearing in mind they were pole last time out at Monza, so a pretty decent effort there nonetheless. But this is more about just getting an idea from what the setup is going to do, how the car is going to behave, and how to tame, as you said earlier, how to respect those bumps.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? Respecting the bumps. It's lesson 1 when you come to
Sebring 101.
Sebring 101 is well, in the United States, yes, Sebring 101. Respect the bumps as Denis Ichenko makes his way through Sunset Bend and onwards then towards the start finish straight. It would be interesting to see if we can have a chat with teams, possibly tomorrow, because they'll be so busy putting in the laps now to make sure that they get themselves up to speed. But I wonder how they set up their cars. Maybe they won't tell us until we're very, very deep into the race. But I do wonder what sort of sacrifices they have to make because of Sunset Bend, because of how bumpy it is through the final corner. How much of their setup do they have to sacrifice to make it through that corner, and how does it affect the car throughout the rest of the lap?
Absolutely true. I'm just looking at the timing screen. Sebastian Deville, now down to 6th for Team Adrenaline, is 4 thousandths behind Denis Ichenko in the 17 Unison car, who, as mentioned earlier, is only 400ths behind the Maradnis E-Stars 64 car. So really, really tight in that section of the timing screens at the moment. Yeah, I'm just thinking, our drivers could absolutely spin us a yarn, couldn't they? Oh, yeah, we've got 4 inches worth, 3 meters of suspension travel, and our suspension struts are made out of jelly to deal with the track. Yeah, they could go to town and tell us all sorts, but yeah, I suspect they're going to give away very, very little about how they're going to deal with their car. But it's a very difficult balance that they have to strike. They cannot just set the car up for one particular individual. They have to try and get a balance that suits everybody as best they can. There will be some drivers that have to adapt more than others, just the nature of the beast. It's, yeah, how well they can balance all those aspects is going to be what sees them through to the top end of the results.
Looking forward to seeing how everything pretty much tries to pan out, how everything would pan out at that stage. Very difficult to do that, Mike, but plays out. And yeah, qualifying, you mentioned there, Chris, that qualifying, whilst we will make a song and dance about it, and it is an extra point, don't forget, for grabbing pole position in your class, if you don't grab the pole position, yes, you lose out on the point, but it's such a long race that qualifying at that point, as long as you make it through the first couple of laps and make sure you get through it, through those first couple of kilometres, the qualifying position can be salvageable over 12 hours. A lot can happen in 12 hours, and that at the end of the race will pale. However you get on in the race, I think qualifying will pale as to how you've done there.
Very, very true indeed. That is the main thing to bear in mind. As we look at Angel Benegas, the number 27 MCM Motorsport Corvette. Lovely snarling beast that it is. That Aston, beg your pardon. It's still a snarling beast nonetheless. That's a pink accented car. Oops! That's another commentator. Goes for me!
Oh!
No. That's
Angel. Watch those yellow flags, drivers.
Yeah, that didn't go well. I think it's fair to say. Well, let's look at that. That's the wrong spot. Wrong camera. There's a very enthusiastic cameraman that's kicked in.
Yeah, it's a very...
That's the 32 car again that's going for a moment. They really...
Production's just rubbing it in, aren't they, for poor B32? They're absolutely rubbing it in there, but I'm sure they were trying to get that. That's a shot.
That's a background picture for someone.
Can that be our thumbnail now for the event? Just the production car halfway in the air. That'd be great. But yeah, it looks like Benegas just lost the back end there, then tried to get himself out of the way, but then the burst car was coming through, and there's nothing the burst car can do there to try and avoid that. Even with the yellow flags, it just happened so late on. But yeah, thankfully for them, and for both drivers and for both teams, that it happened in practice. It would just be a little bit of I'm sure, for whoever was behind the burst car. I didn't quite see who it was. I think it was the leader of the time, because it had the number 1 on the digital display. That's the only reason. That's the only thing I've got to work with.
That was Darren Rocek, if that was the case. Who's straight back out there, and he is on an outlap, so that you may well be right on that. As Yevgeny Sivincic is back in the pits now. So yeah, you may well be right. That may well have been Rocek that had the unfortunate integration with the Aston Martin. As we now look at Andy Kurtzen, we've seen that Porsche face the wrong way during the course of the session. He's got a 59.645 on the board, just a couple of tenths off the back of actually the B32 GT3 car. So it's not been a great session so far for the DIS Sim Racing Lab Porsche. But like I said earlier, there's not a huge pace difference between the GTs and GT3s this time around. In some circuits, there's quite a distinct difference between the GTs and GT3s. Same with the DPIs and LMP2s. This isn't particularly one of them. It's a circuit that relies very much on cornering efficiency far more than outright grunt. But because those back straights are so long, you do need a decent top end to be able to maximise the time you get out on track. So we still look at the Porsche. That's a tad wide coming through. I think that's tower turn. No, it's not. That's the hairpin turn. See, I get it wrong from time to time. So now coming through the Fangio chicane heading towards the Cunningham corner, being chased by one of the DPIs. Not quite sure who that is that's coming up to the back of the Porsche. And we're going to have to be careful. And that's how they go there. So yeah, this is good practice on what to do in traffic. Now, yes, the prototype cars can try and banzai their way through at any given opportunity, but there are times when you're just going to have to bite the bullet and just lose that little bit of time staying behind one of the GT cars to make sure that you both get through the corner well enough as the tail of the Porsche starts to get a little bit lively, coming down through Gendarme and Bend and now through Le Mans. But yeah, that DPI car, I confess I didn't see which one it was, did the right thing then, just stayed. That one, however, was not quite how you meant to take Le Mans curve. Sometimes you just have to stay behind the cars ahead of you, just lose that little bit of time rather than making a really, really risky move and potentially chucking both of your cars into the wall.
Although you mentioned earlier, Chris, that the track itself, the tarmac, is wide in places. However, through these high-speed sections, Flying Fortress Straight, Bishop Bend, also got the Fangio chicane coming up towards Cunningham Corner, it can get narrow in places, but I think what's a stark thing here at Sebring is that most of the circuit, track limits aren't really a thing. You've got the track, you've got the curb, and then you've got grass and anything beyond it. It is an unforgiving track. If you make a mistake, you will be punished for it, and you don't have a lot of room to play around with if you get it wrong.
No, in a lot of places you don't. If you wander off the road, even like here, coming through Gendebian Bend and Le Mans Cove, even though there is a decent amount of runoff area there, you're hitting it at such a pace that if you do go off the road there, you don't have a lot of time to correct it before the wall greets you with open arms. And again, we've seen how well the wall deals with, car intruders. As DeVille, that's quite an oddly wide line he's taking through Sunset Bend now. I'm quite sure why he's gone that deep, unless it was, I suspect he missed his braking point there and just went really, really deep. It was a bit of an unusual line. There's Denis Yashchenko again. Now down into 6th for the Unison car. We saw that well into the top 3 at one point, but that's now in 6th position as the lap times continue to fall. And as the session obviously winds on, they've got many, many hours, as we said earlier, to continue to pound the tarmac as it is, and let's see where the practice session leads them. We will be seeing them through for the next 10 minutes or so, and this will give us a lovely preface for qualifying tomorrow.
The which drivers might be taking the wheel for the qualifying runs. Of course, as far as I remember, Chris, looking at the regulations, you don't have to have all drivers doing a lap in qualifying. You have to have your fastest drivers, though, out there, and we have the 2 qualifying sessions. You've got qualifying 1, which is in the daytime, qualifying 2, which is at night, and we take an average of those 2 lap times. That gets us your total average lap time, which then decides your grid position. So if you have a bad Q1 but a great Q2, you might actually find yourself a little bit further down the table because of that lackluster Q1 performance, which obviously skews the average and puts you further down. It does shake up the grid because you've got to have the 2 lap times in both sessions being the best they can be. And we've had it before, Chris, that we've had one session that's been dry, another session that's been wet, and so that really does hamper with the average lap times. But that's the way it is, and it's the regulations. That's how the qualifying session is. That's how it's outlined, and if the weather plays a part, so be it.
Yeah, and where that really becomes tricky is if the weather changes mid-session. That's where it really becomes testing, because you could have had your best drivers out there really, really early on, but if the weather then changes during the session, there's nothing you can do about it. That is the nature of the beast, however. But that's part of the reason why you would take an average of the 2 sessions, so that if something goes wrong in one of them, you have half a chance of making it up in the second. But exactly as you say, Kieran, if you have if you have a moment like that in qualifying, that's not going to go well for you at all, as Denis Yashchenko tangles with Henry Koya. Both of the kind of black and purple cars trying to mingle. That's never going to go well. Let's see that again. So there's Yashchenko. He's gone really, really wide, and the Audi is... I'm assuming the Audi just made the assumption that Denis Yashchenko was just sticking to the outside line. It's the number 32 again. The production, why? Leave them alone.
That happened live. That happened live, Chris. As we were segueing, the production saying that's not our fault. But let's have a look at the replay then, coming in towards Sunset Bend then, and let's see how that B32 McLaren facing the wrong way. So this is coming through Sunset Bend. And
wow.
Just the back end snapped it. That back end of that McLaren on the B32, that's not the first time it's happened. It's not the first corner that's happened either. That might be a concern for the team coming into this weekend.
That went really early in the corner as well. That was on... I suspect that was probably... He was trying to do some trail braking there. May have missed his braking point by a little bit and tried to slow the car down mid-corner. I mean, you scrub off corner mid-speed. I'll try that entire sentence again. You scrub off speed mid-corner anyway, but But yeah, you don't want to be scrubbing off corners. That'll be rather inconvenient for everybody else. Production, enough. Shush. He's being mean to me, audience. We all love each other, really. We wouldn't be so mean to each other if we didn't have all the respect. Oh, Henri Sinnett getting a four-wheel drift going in the DPI car coming out of Sunset then. That's put me off entirely my stride there. Yeah, so what I suspect the 32 car was trying to do was just scrub off a bit more speed than the tyres were willing to do. There's a little bit too much on the brakes, and where the bumps have then kicked in and just raised the car slightly, it's caused the rear wheels to lock and round it went, but it was so early in the corner. It really, I suspect it caught the driver completely out as well. There's Andy Kutz, and that's not how you do it either. Little bit more traction, although
nice pit entry, very nice pit entry,
stylish pit entry. Bravo, Andy Kutz.
That'll do it. I give that a 8.5, Andy, for a pit entry there. Stylish.
Yeah, not quick, but certainly a crowd pleaser. Bravo.
Oh, indeed. This might be a slight worry for teams. There's quite a few of them now losing back ends through these corners. Turn 1 and Sunset Bend seem to be hotspots for losing that back end. Now, whether that's going to be tyre temperatures throughout the entire lap, whether that's going to be setup related, or whether that's just a genuine mistake of just carrying a little bit too much speed, as we see Andy Kurtzen's route into the pit lane. Very nice 360 to get himself, look at that, slowing himself down for the line as well. Everything you need for a pit lane entrance, the stylish entry, and putting the speed limiter on as well. Well held, Andy Kurtzen. Well held.
Bravo. It's not going to earn you any points, but it'll earn you a fair amount of respect, at least.
It'll earn you a place in my heart, that's for sure. All production's bringing up the weather radar. This could only mean one thing. Let's have a look at it. No particular reason. You see that storm? Just what's that? East of the circuit?
It's doing it again. Look, it appears it flirts with the outside of the circuit and then it runs off. It's doing it again.
That is exactly what's happening. How is it? It forms a circle around the track, so we're not actually getting any rain.
But
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's teasing us exactly as we had at Monza. It's like, oh, my turn, maybe? No, I won't. And then it runs off. Oh, goodness me, unreal.
We had about 1/10 of a millimetre of rain around the circuit at some point. We'll take that as, yes, it was wet. Can't do anything about that one. Yellow flags out there in Sector 1. I believe that was Nello Pastorino in the Moradnes Esports bar. It came up briefly with a yellow flag. A yellow flag in Sector 2, but I think that's just been cleared very quickly.
That was Michael Slot in the Telefonian BMW.
Rene's find his way through as you get very close to the wall there. Very close. Oh, and that's Nello Pastorino around.
That'll be why he caused the yellow flag then.
That will be caused. Yeah, that's why he caused it. There he is, just making his way through. Now, does he pick up a little bit of gravel? Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And does he keep it out of the wall? No, he doesn't.
The restyled car then. It's the Moradnes Esports number 64 that's been reshaped by its driver. Denis Simoncic. Good lord, that again, you can tell when you're really pressing on because the car just misbehaves, which will be great for us because again, especially when. But what the heck is there's a Marocek's car. Struth, I did not want to. Well, it was slowing down perfectly well, but he was trying to slow down in every direction other than straight. They were just dancing around all over the place, which, again, is probably good fun, but after 12 hours, that's going to be very testing.
It's a very demanding track, this one, isn't it? It's more than meets the eye. The bumps really do. If you've got that force feedback, they will wear you down. And it's just a case of making sure not only you give the bumps respect, but that you're making sure that you are not really fatigued by the track. It's a technical circuit, requires a lot of concentration. Sunshine now out there onto the track, which is, well, kind of the polar opposite of what we were expecting today, Chris. We were expecting quite a bit of rain, but as we saw from that radar, it's just forming all the way around the circuit. Just the weather gods seem to do that. Whenever you and I are in a practice session together, the rain just never, ever seems to form around the circuit, which I guess for the drivers is a good thing. But if there's changeable weather conditions throughout the entire weekend, they'll probably be cursing their luck that we're here.
Again, we are setting ourselves up to be fired at some point if, maybe ousted by the drivers. Do not allow them in.
I think the drivers' union will be coming for us very soon. They'll be knocking on the door soon. We'll have to watch our backs for that one. But we'll wait and see. But there's a lot of drivers here chucking cars into corners, hoping that they stick. And I would assume at this point some drivers are looking to try and do quali sims at the moment. Just making sure, because there's a lot of spins out there, which means to me there's light cars out there, different handling. The cars will handle differently, and we see the wipers there going on, and it is starting to rain once again, more than 1/10 of a millimetre. More than 100th of a millimetre, 300ths of a millimetre at the moment. But you see then Andy Kirsten with the wipers on, and rain just slightly heavier than it was about half an hour ago.
Goodness me. So again, as of the point that we're going to be signing off the broadcast very shortly, then the weather says, oh, go on then, have a bit of rain. It's toying with us yet again.
Can't believe that.
Yet again. But either way, it will give the drivers very valuable, an opportunity at least to practice for the kind of mixed weather conditions we believe we are going to have, if the weather makes up its mind, of course. What it wants to do, that's to determine the windscreen wiper going on, so we can assume then that an amount of rain is falling that necessitates them having to, again, the what do you call it, the psychological rain or what have you.
That's the one.
Yes, the rain could be kicking in. But yeah, so now we're going to see even more skatey cars, or more misbehaving, as I was calling it earlier. Now we're seeing lots of cars actually out there. So, obviously quite a few teams are taking part in this session. The actual session itself has another 12 hours to run, but like I said, we will be rounding out the broadcast very, very shortly. But the more the rain continues, it gives the drivers an opportunity to practice how they're going to make any setup alterations to their car, allowing for the rain. And that adds another complexity to what the drivers have to deal with. Because again, they have to make compromises to make sure that the setup works for everybody. However, when you've got the possibility of mixed conditions in the race, they can't just focus on how the car is going to grip in the drive. So it's going to add even more complexity to the driver. So it works for us.
Oh, definitely. And I'm absolutely looking forward to that one. And we hopefully will qualify well, as that kickstarts at about, it does kickstart at 1900 Central European summertime, I believe. Do so, make sure you adjust your watches and clocks accordingly. 7 o'clock in the evening, but Mr. Buxton, we have had our practice session here. We are unfortunately going to be leaving everybody. The good news for us, though, is it has stopped raining again. So it's been teasing us all this time. I think we should just... Oh, there's Pocarole into the wall. Emilian Pocarole in the Miradlis racing machine into the wall. We've had a little bit of everything. A little bit of sun, just a slight drizzle of rain. Multiple cars losing the back end. Respecting the bumps has been the lecture of the day. I think we can call that a day and look forward to qualifying tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Qualifying. Like I said, it's 2 sessions, one of the day, one of the night. Do join us in time for that, which will give us a wonderful precursor to 12 hours here at Sebring.
Absolutely.
Wow, 2 of the burst cars decide to park the car in the wall right at the end of the session.
Why not? Why not? Well, hopefully you've enjoyed the coverage tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 1700 Central European Summertime for Qualifying 1. Hopefully you can join us then. From myself, Kieran McGinley and Chris Buxton alongside, it's been a pleasure to bring this practice session to you. We'll see you tomorrow to do it all again and see who can grab that all-important point and pole position. Until then, take care of yourselves, have a very good evening, and good night.
The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting GTR24H.org/VPN.